All right, we're going to add mixed numbers. So we're going to add 4 3/4 plus 3 5/6. So to do that, our first step is to find a common denominator. So what I mean by a common denominator is we're trying to figure out how to make these, remember that's the denominator, that's the numerator. We're trying to figure out how to make these into the same number. So to do that, we have to think about the multiples of 4 and 6. So what I mean by multiples, I mean we need to think about skip counting. So counting by 4s and counting by 6s. So counting by 4s, it'd be 4, 8, 12, 16. Counting by 6s would be such as 6, 12, 18, and 24. So these are the multiples of 4 and 6. Now what we're going to look for is what we call the least common denominator. So if you see here, I see that 12 shows up for both. So common meaning it goes into both. So we're going to use 12 as our common denominator. So the next step is we're going to rename the fractions. So we're going to use 12 as our new fractions. Don't forget to carry down your whole numbers. We'll deal with those in a minute. So to do that, we're going to rename the fractions. We're going to be using multiplication. And whatever I multiply the bottom by, we're going to also multiply the top by the same number. So if you look, 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3 gives you 12. So that means I'm going to multiply this by 3 and the top by 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 3 is 12. Next, if you can see here, 1, 2, 6 times 2 is 12. So we're going to times this by 2. We're going to times that 5 by 2. So this now becomes 10 12ths because 5 times 2 is 10, 6 times 2 is 12. So now what we've done is now these are the same, which is our goal, is to always get these to be the same. These fractions are equivalent to these fractions. We call these equivalent fractions. All right, next step. Third step is we are now going to be adding our numerators. And we're only going to add our numerators. Remember, the numerator is the top. So we're going to add the 9 and the 10. And we're also going to then add the whole numbers. But let's do the numerator here first. So 9 plus 10 is 19 twelfths. Next, we're going to now add our whole numbers. So we're going to add now the 4 and the 3. And 4 plus 3 is 7. Okay, now the next step is our final step is always to simplify. So to simplify this problem is, well, this is what we call an improper fraction. So an improper fraction means that the top is bigger than the bottom. So we need to fix that, and we're going to make that into a mixed number. And the way that we do that is we divide. So for example, we're going to do 19 divided by 12. And 12 goes into 19 one time. And then we subtract, and that becomes 7. So now what we get is, this is always the whole number, this is the numerator, and that's the denominator. So what we get now from 19 twelfths is 1 and 7 twelfths. So last step is, this is simplified, but now we need to add those final whole numbers together. So we're going to add the 7 to the 1, and so we get 8 and 7 twelfths. I like to just one more time double check, is this simplified. And I always am thinking, is there a common factor between 7 and 12? And remember, factors are numbers that are multiplied that go into these particular numbers. And so 7 is prime, which means only 7 and 1 go into that number. And I know 7 has no common factors with 12, so I know that this is simplified. So my final answer is 8 and 7/12.